A fresh confrontation is unfolding in the Red Sea as a key US Arab ally responds to another Houthi attack. Saudi Arabia has launched retaliatory strikes after one of its commercial vessels came under attack. The latest escalation comes as Riyadh pushes back against the Houthis' declared naval blockade. The Saudi-led coalition is signaling it will respond forcefully, while the Houthis are warning of even greater retaliation. The Saudi-led coalition launched airstrikes on Houthi positions in Hodeidah on July 24. Riyadh said the operation targeted facilities used to threaten commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Saudi officials confirmed the vessel NCC MASA sustained minor hull damage during the latest attack. The incident came just 4 days after the Houthis announced a naval blockade on Saudi-linked shipping. The coalition described the strikes as a proportionate military response to recent Houthi attacks. Houthi-linked Al Jazeera TV reported that Saudi airstrikes hit state telecommunications facilities in Hodeidah. The broadcaster also claimed Saudi aircraft targeted Camaran Island off Yemen's western coast. Saudi officials insisted that Hodeidah port itself was not among the targets. Riyadh said the ports of Hodeidah, Ras Issa, and Salif remain open to commercial shipping. The Houthi-run foreign ministry called the strikes the beginning of an escalation for escalation phase. Yemen's foreign ministry said, and I quote, "The Saudi regime bears the consequences for any developments that will occur as a result of its criminal step." Instead of complying with the rightful and just demand to lift the blockade on Yemen, the Saudi regime has committed a major folly that will cost it dearly. By targeting Al Hodeidah Governorate, the equation of escalation with escalation will be the title of the next phase, unquote. The Houthis blamed Saudi Arabia for any consequences arising from the latest military operation. The renewed fighting follows the Houthis' declaration of a naval blockade targeting Saudi-linked shipping. Meanwhile, the United States and Saudi Arabia have announced a landmark civilian nuclear cooperation agreement. The United States and Saudi Arabia announced a historic civilian nuclear cooperation agreement on July 22. The Trump administration says the deal marks a major step towards strengthening long-term strategic ties with Riyadh, according to Al Jazeera. Washington describes the agreement as a strategic partnership focused on energy security and regional cooperation. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said, and I quote, "These agreements reflect our two nations' shared commitment to strengthening U.S.-Saudi commercial relations, delivering prosperity at home and security to our allies abroad. Rest assured, these agreements uphold the highest standards of nuclear safety and non-proliferation while relying on the world's best nuclear technology and scientists, designed right here in the United States." Unquote. The multi-billion-dollar agreement will now be submitted to the U.S. Congress for review, according to Al Jazeera. American companies are expected to provide Saudi Arabia with advanced civilian nuclear technology under the agreement. The partnership is structured under Section 123 agreement of the U.S. Atomic Energy Act. Officials say the pact also includes safeguards designed to ensure peaceful civilian nuclear cooperation. Washington maintains that the agreement fully complies with strict nuclear safety and non-proliferation standards. Reports suggest the agreement could eventually allow Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium on its own soil. The U.S. Energy Department has not confirmed whether uranium enrichment is included in the final arrangement. Experts note that uranium enrichment can fuel civilian reactors, but can also be used in nuclear weapons programs. If enrichment rights are included, the issue is expected to face intense scrutiny in the U.S. Congress. The enrichment question is likely to become the most closely watched element of the entire agreement. The agreement comes as military confrontation between the United States and Iran continues to escalate. President Trump has repeatedly insisted that Iran must never obtain a nuclear weapons capability. The Saudi nuclear agreement is expected to spark fresh debate over Washington's long-term strategy in the Middle East. President Donald Trump has approved a landmark 30-year civil nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia, according to an AP report. The proposed agreement could allow Saudi Arabia to develop a domestic uranium enrichment capability for its civilian nuclear energy program. Reports said the deal would place American companies at the center of Saudi Arabia's long-term nuclear development efforts. The proposal also includes a joint US-Saudi study on building a uranium enrichment facility inside the kingdom. The deal is expected to be submitted to the US Congress, where lawmakers are likely to raise concerns over nuclear proliferation. According to the Wall Street Journal, the agreement is not expected to include the IAEA's additional protocol for enhanced nuclear inspections. The decision comes as Washington continues its broader campaign to curb Iran's nuclear program and regional influence. Experts have warned that allowing Saudi uranium enrichment could create a future pathway toward a potential nuclear weapons capability. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has previously said Saudi Arabia would match Iran if Tehran were to acquire a nuclear bomb. The proposed agreement differs from the earlier UAE-United States nuclear deal, which prohibited uranium enrichment and set a stricter non-proliferation benchmark. President Donald Trump also indicated that the nuclear agreement will not move forward unless Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accords.
No, nobody got out ahead. I mean, I just say that in order to do it, they have to be a member of the Abraham Accords, which have been very successful. But it's time now that they do it. They and others didn't want to do it because of the problem that they had with Iran. You don't have that problem anymore. You don't have a great power there anymore. You have a problem, but the problem is disappearing day by day. They were the bully of the Middle East. They were not going to be that much of a bully anymore. They'll probably, I think, instinctively want to be. But you don't have the same problem that you would have had 4 or 5 months ago before they had no navy, no military, no anti-aircraft, no leaders. I mean, their leaders are gone. A lot of things have changed with respect to that country. So, no, we want them to, it's a two-way street, and we think it's very important for the future of the Middle East. The Abraham Accords have been incredibly successful for the countries, as you know, for the countries in them. And I think it's very important. So, you know, at some point they'll join and they'll do their civil, that's who I call it, civil nuclear, but that's what it is. No enrichment, it's civil nuclear.
Quick question about Iran.
Big trouble. It was being laughed at all over the world. We have the hottest country. Well, we didn't talk about it, but it was always understood, and Chris knew, and Saudi Arabia knew, that if they didn't join the Abraham Accords, the deal's not, I'm not going to do the deal.
So then why did they sign it?
Senator John... Because they understood that in order, you know, it's subject to Congress and everything else, in order for that deal to go through, they had to sign into the Abraham Accords. And they've had great success. The Abraham Accords have been very successful. But in order to do that, we wanted them, we want them in. We think it's very good. We think the Abraham Accords bring peace in the Middle East. And now there's no longer an Iran factor. There's no longer Iran to worry about because they've been reduced in terms of their capability and power by manyfold.